So I got a letter the other day that really scared me. Basically, it was my insurance company, or my medical insurance company, from August, and it is now January. So whatever that is, 4 or 5 months ago. Same insurance company, but the incident was 4 or 5 months ago when I went to the hospital for what I thought might be a broken ankle from my little motorcycle tumble. Creepily worded letter that basically sounded like they were going to sue me for medical expenses I'd incurred because I didn't have motorcycle insurance when I crashed. What ended up happening was, it sounds like they just closed my case, because since I didn't have motorcycle insurance, they were the responsible party for taking care of me, responsibility for it. They told me they were going to close my case, but in the meantime I panicked and was like, oh shit dude, like I don't want to get sued, but I also don't want to pay. I forget what it was. It was either like $1,800 or like $3,200 in medical bills, and like nothing even happened. That's the most ridiculous part about it. Was all I did was go in, get x-rayed, they poked it, and they were like, yeah, your bones are fine, it's soft tissue damage, here's some way overpowered ibuprofen, and just go home, you'll be alright. Exorbitantly expensive, and I did not want to have to pay it or deal with it. What are you doing? Are you turning left? Am I supposed to trust you? Let's do a little wahoo. So I'm panicking, like, oh god, I don't want to get sued. So I finally have to tell my dad, or call my dad for advice. And really the only way to do it, and because I knew I had to tell him eventually, was to just tell him, yeah, I bought a motorcycle. And there's only 3 things he ever really forbade me to do. And a motorcycle is one of them. My dad went to Auburn University and is a die-hard Auburn fan. So the first thing he said I could never do was attend the University of Alabama. Haha, I think mostly that's a joke, but I also think a little bit he might have actually been kind of serious about that. And the second thing he told me never to do was to get a tattoo. That's just the type of family I come from. My grandmother, my dad's mom, is super insanely Southern. She hates the fact that I even have a beard right now. She thinks that men with beards are untrustworthy and have something to hide. And of course, like any Southern belle, she's extremely religious, and my dad pointed out to her, Mom, Jesus had a beard. To which she replied, times were different back then. But whatever, beside the point. So I've got to tell my dad, like, yo, I bought a motorcycle and totally didn't mean this as a fuck you or anything. So what a lot of my friends said was like, dude, why do you care? Like, you know, your dad doesn't give you money or anything. You don't live with him. Like, there's no reason you have to obey his rules. And yes, that is true, but that's just such like a fuck the world teenager mentality. I love my dad. He gave me a great life, a great upbringing. We absolutely had times where I would have told you, if you asked me, I would have, like, without raising my voice or yelling or like getting angry, I would have just said, like, yeah, I hate him. Like, genuinely, I just hate that guy. But everybody goes through those phases. At the end of the day, he did a great job raising me, I think. Turned out to be okay. And, I owe the guy and I want to respect his wishes. But at the same time, this is something I want to do and it's fun, and there's a balance there between, doing everything someone wants and doing what's reasonable. And so yeah, I did it anyways, and the main reason I didn't want to tell him was not that he was going to get mad or anything. He didn't. It's just that I didn't want him to worry, and especially not my mom. Dad will probably worry. Mom, I think, would literally lose sleep, and I think her health would decline as a result. Lots of sleep loss and stress. Dad, it's funny, telling him, I felt pretty much how I imagine a girl feels when she tells her dad she's been doing porn. It's just like, I love you, and I know you're gonna be so disappointed, but I have been doing something you don't want me to do. So yeah, I told him, and he was just like, he just gave me advice about the insurance company, and was just like, he was like, yeah, I don't expect you to do whatever I say, it's not my roof, my rules anymore. But, you know, I can't tell you I'm not excited for the day when you no longer own a motorcycle. And I was like, yeah, I totally understand. Geez, it's scary getting leaned over. Yeah, I guess that's my story. I told my dad and it was all okay. But it sucks, like, when you have to grow up and... Not when you have to grow up. Well, growing up sucks, too. But it sucks when you have to, like, tell your parents something you know is going to disappoint them. Because I'm totally past that, you know, needing to prove myself and be independent and whatever else. It's like, I'm pretty secure in my independence. I just don't want to, like... I don't want to make my dad worried for my safety every day. But he gets it. Ever since I was a kid, like 5 years old, I learned to ride a bike at, 4 or 5 years old, bicycle. And quickly got pretty comfortable with it. When I say ride a bicycle, I mean without training wheels. Training wheels came off at 4 or 5 years old, which my parents tell me is young. I don't know. Every parent thinks their kid is amazing. But yeah, I learned to ride it early, and it wasn't long before I was doing tricks, not real tricks, like I never learned to actually wheelie or anything, which I regret. I just wasn't that impressed by wheelies. I would more do stuff like stand up on the seat of my bike. Still had my hands on handlebars, but I would stand up on the seat, or like, you know, ride on just one pedal with like my body off that side of the bike. Or I actually learned about like what's the word? It's not body steering, I guess, or counter steering, counterweighting, where I would like move the bike and like have the bike way farther leaned over than necessary in a turn underneath me, be like standing on the side of it. So he knows that I've got a certain amount of like balance and knack for riding on bikes, which I hoped would comfort him, but it actually just made him more nervous. He was just like, I hope you're not doing stuff on your motorcycle like you did, you know, in the backyard when you were a little kid. I was like, no, don't worry about it. Actually, since I did fall off, motorcycles scare the shit out of me, and I've got like a whole lot of respect for it. Take it nice and easy. So on top of having like a certain sense of like balance and being used to like riding bikes, I'm also very used to dangerous things, I would like to think, in my mind anyways. I'm a concealed carry permit holder, as you'll see on my other channel, and hopefully I'm going to start to integrate into this channel. I like guns. I like shooting guns, and a big part of dealing with something like that is that there's kind of like a motorcycle, really, is that there's almost zero margin for error. I mean, any mistake you make is going to be a pretty major mistake. Like, for example, my little tumble at 15 miles per hour ending up costing, you know, minimum $2,000 in medical bills. It's pretty much the same thing with a gun, except you're going to pretty much definitely add jail time if you were to discharge a weapon in the place you weren't supposed to, especially if you were to hit another person, whether intentionally or unintentionally. So, you know, I've got this certain amount of, like, responsibility and sense of, like, needing to learn the skill set behind using something rather than just taking it for what it is and expecting to be able to control it. And then also, I keep saying obviously, you know everything about my life, and I was super into it. But I do work in a manufacturing plant. For instance, the other day, somebody mixed 2 improper chemicals during cleaning, but this is industrial cleaning. We're talking 300 and 900 gallons of each chemical being mixed together. And it was a caustic chemical, which is a base, and an acidic chemical, which is an acid. And when you mix a base and an acid, you get chlorine gas or mustard gas. So, I mean, mistakes like that can be fatal. People doing the wrong things when taking care of machines, you can lose limbs. I work with several people that do not have all their fingers, or at least not the entire fingers, as a result of working in that environment. So, safety is something I'm pretty conscious of. You know, obviously I'll take my risks at certain times, but you will notice other areas where, like, I'm a bit of a wuss, like wearing this neon jacket. I just want to make sure that I can be seen and that I try to keep the errors under my control instead of somebody else pulling out in front of me or something like that. So all those are kind of reasons why I thought I would be a good candidate for riding a motorcycle. is that I have the need for speed. I have the interest in high-speed vehicles. I do not have the finances to buy, your midlife crisis Corvette or your Porsche or whatever else. So I can get something much faster than those that I can be engaged in physically, which I enjoy because I'm still young and relatively healthy. I don't have time to work out anymore, but I'm not, fat or unable to do physical things. And I just feel like I've got the natural knack for being able to pick it up. I'm understanding of and cognizant of how to deal with dangerous things. And I've also noticed, I guess it's just the type of person that likes one thing, likes the other. A lot of gun channels get into motorcycles, and a lot of motorcycle channels get into guns. Two of the most popular examples of people that I watch that you'd probably be familiar with are Nut and Fancy and Do It With Dan. Do It With Dan is a motorcycle guy who's into guns, and Nut and Fancy is a gun guy who's into motorcycles. They both might argue with that statement, but I'm just talking about what their channel is primarily about, and then what their extra videos are that are kind of smaller and stuff.
Oh god, that was a 40.
Hey. What do you think, assholes? That's it! Got so many flies on there. Oh my god.